Retirement Focus 2026. On this episode of Beyond the Focus, we're going to talk about what's changing and what it means for you. We've recently recorded as we talk about week over week or month over month on this podcast is what we really believe retirement is all about. As we walk through these real stories and get just other insight in the market, we want to make sure we're bringing you practical tips on how to guide you to your journey to and through financial clarity with giving you some freedom. And it's all about having a plan. So let's get started. Today, our conversation really is just all about long term care and really these changes and how they affect you. All of the families that are coming in or listening, please realize that every new year brings updates. It brings changes, it brings new limits, but it also should bring new opportunities to you to really design a plan built around some security for you and peace of mind. For many people, retirement planning can feel like something you set up once and then you kind of leave it alone or set it down. But the more we think about this, you're not alone. And the truth is that we really need to make sure that it's not something that worked well and then is on autopilot. We need to make sure we continue to make shifts, we understand the numbers, and that things are going to change. Your strategy, it won't keep up if we do nothing. So we don't want you to miss out on any opportunity and catch you off guard. So, this episode, I want to walk you through some of the key retirement changes in 2026 and beyond, just keeping it in plain English. We're going to talk about contributions and increases for savers, changes affecting Social Security, many ways to claim there, and really higher Medicare cost, and the final full retirement age for many Americans. And what do tax deductions truly mean for this year? And could you benefit much like other retirees? And then I want to kind of zoom out and really talk about what all of this really means for you in your own retirement journey, because it's not about numbers and memorizing numbers and having them in your head. It's more about asking, what does all these moving pieces mean to me? How do they affect my income, the taxes, the health care, and truly the long-term care and confidence later on so you can live your retirement dreams and make them a reality? So this is the real question. As we talk with people, let's start with who are listening that's still in your savings years. I think the big part about if you're still saving and you're still working and putting money away into retirement savings vehicles, 2026 brings some amazing positive news to those of you contributing to 401ks and IRAs. Limits have gone up, which gives more room for you to save intentionally for the money that you're going to use later in retirement. Because let's face it, your savings today is your new retirement income later down the road. So for workplace plans like 401ks, your contribution limits is now 24,500. Um, this is really meaningful, especially for those that in your peak earning years. Let's say that you have 5 to 10 years left to work. It makes the most sense to get these final savings into your retirement vehicle to compound and defer for you for your retirement savings and income years in the future. We also want to take a look. If you're 50 years plus, you can have catch up contributions. These do continue to matter. You might have extra funds sitting in a savings account or a CD that came due. And this window really gives you a nice time for those savings between 60 and 63 as well, especially if your plan allows for it. These catch up amounts, generously, they potentially can allow you an extra $11,250 on top of these contributions that you're already making. This can be so powerful for planning opportunities for someone who may have spent more earlier in their years, and you might not have been able to save as much, raising a family, helping children, supporting parents. I know the story can go on, but we really want to be able to look, can you maximize? And if so, how do we want to utilize these increases to help you? Even with IRAs, Roth IRAs, increasing limits to 7,500. It might sound just like a number on paper as you're listening or watching today, but they truly matter because retirement planning is often won or lost in the details. And a few extra $1,000 saved per year can multiply, and this compound growth can create you some real flexibility in the future. So, what can it mean? more income options for you, more tax planning opportunities, and more peace of mind as retirement gets closer and closer. And one thing I often remind people of is this: there's a difference between saving more and planning better. So we want to take a look at savings do matter, of course, but accumulation alone is not the full story. It's not the end game, because eventually every saver becomes a spender. At some point, the question is, and it changes for them, is how much can I put in? What can I contribute? And then we go through this accumulation phase. And then how do we go into the distribution to make sure we're doing so wisely and what accounts and how much per month we're drawing? That's why we also need to pay close attention to what's happening for those who are already retired. So here we're just going to talk about we talked about what contributions can look like, what happens from earning income versus distribution. Now, other things, you might still be working, but we need to think about things such as timing Social Security. I think when you're 60 years old, you need to talk about when should we time Social Security, and then how will Medicare come into play when you turn 65. So if you're already receiving Social Security or planning to claim soon, then some of the headline items that are looking at for you in 2026 is this 2.8% cost of living adjustment, or the COLA. This average really runs into proportion of about $58, give or take a few dollars per month for retirees. Anytime that we take a look at that, how are the benefits going to be affected? If you're already on Medicare and paying that mandatory tax inside of retirement, and we have this cost of living adjustment, we do see the increase in Social Security for your income, but we're also then going to see the increase of the cost of Medicare Part B. So retirement planning, it's rarely about numbers and percentages, but it's really about isolating and taking a good look at what are we actually receiving for income? What is our Medicare premium, or that tax Medicare Part B premium? We saw those costs increase. So 2026, we're now paying $202.90. That's roughly about $18 more per month than before. So right away, you might feel a little tension. Well, what does this mean? Well, this is all part of your retirement income. So as you see your Social Security benefit go up, receiving more in your pocketbook, you're also going to see the cost or the mandatory tax to Medicare Part B increase. So it kind of shrinks this overall gain that you're receiving. And then you have to think about other things of purpose, like expense increases, inflation that we've seen, and some turbulence there. So a really good thing to remember is that retirement decisions need to be interconnected. When we talk about your healthcare and wealth care journey here, and really our 5 pillars of our focus plan, your income affects your taxes, and your taxes affect your Medicare exposure. And your healthcare costs really impact your spending plan. And then your withdrawal strategy affects how long it may last. So one of the biggest questions we hear here is, am I going to outlive my money, or do I have enough? Am I going to be okay? Some of us are living more years in retirement than we did during our working years. So nothing really is separated. It all works together in a vacuum. We're really in this circular motion that we take a look. And we encourage you to really look at your retirement updates, but don't look at it by itself. You have to know what's important to you. What are your goals? How does this cost of living increase affect you with the healthcare premiums? And what happens as inflation changes, everyday tax pressures change, and these increases might feel significant really in real life to you. So as we take a pause there and we really take a look at really broad retirement headlines, and we want to make sure those can be misleading. We see things happen with tariffs. We see items happening in the Middle East, war. We want to make sure that you're not just worried about what is going to happen. I want my Social Security benefits to go up. This is a framework of my retirement income. But sometimes a more important question is what does this actually mean in your household? And when we pause there, how do we improve your monthly cash flow? Does it simply offer other rising costs? So does that affect all of it? No, we can really take a look and create things that don't have such a ripple effect on other items in your portfolio or your daily life. So these questions truly matter when we're talking about real life situations for you, and just how is your full retirement timeline working for you in timing decisions? Are you someone who wants to retire early at 57 or 58? Or do you plan to work till 65 or full retirement age or all the way through 70 and beyond? So if you were born in 1960 or later, full retirement age for you is officially 67. And this means that if you're claiming Social Security benefits before then, your benefits are permanently reduced, but we might be okay with that, depending on what your timeline is, what other health concerns might be for you, how your overall family goals are working well for you, or do we delay and take the ripple compounding growth effect and wait until 70? These all interchangeably matter. It matters what you're doing for healthcare, even your benefits. So we have to walk through this in a point by point, step by step with you year over year to really review. Now, one of the biggest things to changing some of these decisions that you even face is so many people approach Medicare and Social Security, especially as if it's just a switch of a turn on or turn off of a switch, much like a light switch would work. Now, this strategy decision, though, this claiming, it might make sense for some situations, but not all. And we really only have one time to make this Social Security decision. So it depends on your health, your income. Are you married? Are you single, widowed, divorced? These matter of the benefits. Tax wise, what do we have in pre tax accounts versus tax free assets? And then how are we going to help you with where to withdraw from? So, major takeaway from this is we want to make sure that everyone needs to look at their own individualized picture. We should be doing a Social Security timing report, taking a look at the time value of money, and really looking and seeing when the claim time is best for you. So, we want to make sure we can connect on this, make your one election, and it's going to shape your retirement income for the rest of your life. And if you're a married couple, especially, one claiming decision doesn't affect just yourself, but it also can affect your other loved ones. So we'll make sure that we plan that specifically within your household. We also get to talk about senior tax deductions. So another takeaway that we're hearing from folks is this year in 2026, we can do even more tax planning. So now let's say we've run through a review. We know you've been saving. We look at contributions limits for 2026. We know when or how, or if you're already drawing Social Security. But now we really want to take a look at, do you have an extra claiming strategy? So if you're 65 years and older, it's $6,000 for single filers and $12,000 for married couples where both spouses are over the age of 65. And what really stands here is that it might be available for you, and so you don't itemize. Without that itemization, you receive this extra deduction. It might allow you to have opportunities for you to either have less taxes to pay in. You might have more opportunities that we can, with the standard deduction, to do more what we call Roth conversions and really look at this bucket approach tax wise for you. But it gives us some other opportunities to really take a look at tax rules, income phase outs, and other details and how they truly matter for each and every one of your benefits. And as a reminder, this tax planning in retirement, it's not mandatory, but this tax planning is really something that we are looking at for everyone. It kind of can bridge new thresholds. We'll take a look at new deductions, new tax brackets, and really watch how these rules have created new opportunities for you. And many times you wouldn't even realize it, but we don't want to leave any extra money on the table without realizing it for the IRS. We're going to make sure that this tax planning is something that you can do all throughout the year. This is not just something that you take place in April. These decisions can happen all through 2026, from January through about the first week in December, when we're really taking a look at, do we want to use IRA funds? How are we looking at taxable money? And whether this Roth strategy really can make a big difference for you. So how does all these different withdrawals affect you? We already talked about Medicare, but guess what? By looking at these strategies, it's still going to intertwine with not only your Medicare premium, but taxation, your Social Security, and then how does this overall investment plan truly look and work as we're talking about healthcare planning? And then on top of that, separate from healthcare and Medicare, your long term care situation that's not just about dollars and cents, but much more about the emotional side of how and when and why and things that are important to you, because 70 plus percent of us need some sort of long term care at the age of 65 plus. So these pieces of the puzzle all tend to work hand in hand. Sometimes we feel a little bit stronger about one area or another, but the biggest key here is this is not on autopilot. This is not a do it yourself program. We're taking a look at about 5 areas of investing in timelines. So the message is your retirement plan cannot be on autopilot. As these rules change and as life changes, we're going to help you to walk through this, meet frequently, talk about upcoming things that are happening in the market, events, retirement ages, and maybe even your spending needs. They're going to continue to change. Inflation changes, which changes the flow of our need to and how we're going to spend funds. Our risk tolerance definitely changes. We can't set our risk tolerance in our 40s or 50s and hope to keep it the same in our 60s or 70s. So we have to make sure that we know when are we going to be withdrawing? How do we make these changes? Um, New things happen in life. There's new grandchildren. You might be moving. And so many of you have done a great job of saving, but we have to continue to regularly review, look at the plan, and make sure it's coordinating your income, your expenses, tax strategies, long term care, distribution, your legacy goals, and really how they're all going to format into one thing together. So we don't land in places by accident. We want to make sure that we have a well designed plan. It's reviewed, it keeps you stress free, helps give you clarity. And for us, we often want to make sure that we can help good people like you make great decisions so you can live an amazing retirement and have all of these indicators working together that truly make the difference. So, for all of you that are listening, if you have a strategy, wonderful. Let's utilize our team here to help you review it or just put something on your calendar that you're going to take a look at where you're at on your journey of saving, investing, maybe learning more about healthcare, Medicare, or Social Security, or you just might want your own written income retirement plan. Since that's the number one thing of having enough funds and where do we go from here, I'm hopeful that all of these tips today have really helped you to really think about with some clarity of the changes that we're seeing in the 2026 landscape, how we can help you with our focus process, really deliver this and helping you to gain more clarity in your plan. So thanks so much for listening and tuning in to this next episode of Beyond the Focus, where we're helping good people make great reality decisions. Until next time, stay tuned and have a wonderful day.